good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this inaugural edition of the Live Wire on Inside UNC Charlotte. Our intent is to bring you informal discussion on issues of importance here on the UNC Charlotte campus and bring them to you in a new way, hopefully right on your screen, right at your desk, right at lunchtime, and we'll choose topic areas that I think are timely and things that we sense that you're interested in learning a little bit more about. And today our first topic in this week's installment is campus safety and security. And with us as our guest is Jesh Humphrey. Jesh is the Senior Associate General Counsel on our Legal Affairs team, but today he's here because he has spent the last year
That's right.
as the chair of the Campus Safety and Security Committee. So first of all, Jesh, welcome to this adventure, and tell us a little bit about the work that's gone on over this year on the committee, and
Sure.
take it from there.
Well, thanks for having me. The Campus Safety and Security Committee has been around for about 5 years. It was commissioned in 2008 by the Chancellor and by Chancellor Dubois, and the committee's main charge is to develop a security plan for the campus. So that means looking at the state of the campus right now from a physical security perspective. Are we ready for violent crime? Are we ready for some sort of act of violence or criminal behavior on campus? And making sure that we address that from a prevention and preparedness perspective. So through education, through training, through programming, and then through addressing gaps in infrastructure and personnel and that sort of stuff. So like I said, I've been doing that for the past year. David Spano was the previous chair for 4 years, and he created a great template that I've just been trying to keep going for since last summer.
I think to varying degrees and an individual basis, safety of the campus is something that is on everybody's mind. And I want to encourage you who are just putting us on your screens to send us your questions for Jesh about the work of the committee or safety and security questions in general. You can send those via Twitter, or you can send them via email, and the addresses are on your screen throughout our webcast today. But let's talk a little bit about the idea that safety is on everybody's mind at any given time here on campus. And are there specific differences that you see in what is of concern to students, what would be of concern to a faculty member or a staff member? And what does it depend on? Where they work, the time of day they work, the time they're feeling vulnerable, and where? What have you heard about the differences?
I think safety really has two definitions when you talk about it in the campus environment. There's the statistical definition of safety, and by all measures, we're a very safe campus. You can look at what's happened since the Campus Safety and Security Committee was instituted, since we've really invested in infrastructure. Crime has gone down significantly over the past 5 years. We're tremendously safe when looking at this area, this campus, in light of the greater Charlotte region and particularly in the university area. But having said that, statistical safety doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot to somebody who's been personally impacted by crime. So our goal is twofold. First, to be able to reduce the amount of crime that happens on campus and figure out where it's happening, address it where it's happening. But then secondly, through education and programming, through marketing, through an explanation of what we do, through getting people involved personally, making sure that they feel safe on the individual level. So to directly address your question, I think it's incredibly situationally specific. I think if you hear of someone going through a traumatic incident, if you know of someone, if you go through it yourself, you're a lot more likely to be attentive to violence and crime on campus. I think, at night, I think in isolated buildings when you're by yourself, there's a lot of things that play into that. And of course, the other factor is current events. I mean, we're all familiar with the Virginia Tech massacre, Newtown, what happened in Aurora. Even within the state, there has been a few incidents in the past decade or so that have really brought safety to the forefront of people's minds.
Well, and we are a campus that clearly has experienced rapid growth, physically and enrollment, and that could translate into a sense of, can we keep up from a safety standpoint? Is there a sense from what you've learned over this year of work with the Safety and Security Committee that we are doing a good job keeping up with the pace of a campus that from one year to the next is significantly different?
Sure. I think we're doing a tremendous job, and I think that is a product of the Chancellor's investment in campus safety. The existence of the committee is just one testament to that.
Would that be typical of a university our size to have a committee that does this
Well,
work?
the committee's genesis really was in the wake of the Virginia Tech incident, and there were two statewide campus safety task forces. One was commissioned by the Attorney General's office, one by then President Erskine Bowles. Our chancellor sat on both of those, so he was very involved in that process. David Spano, my predecessor as chair of the committee, sat on the president's task force. So most schools have that. What I can't speak to is whether most schools have invested what the chancellor has invested in our committee, which is, part of our responsibility is not just providing the campus safety plan, but also prioritizing recommendations and budget priorities each and every year. And there has not been a single priority that our committee has come up with that the chancellor has not found some way to fund. Yeah. And so what we're talking about is, over the past 5 years, investments on the order of $5 million or more in terms of infrastructure, in terms of personnel, in terms of education and programming that were all intended to address what was going on both in the present and make sure that things were set up for preparedness for what the campus is now and is going to be in the future.
If you've just put us on your screen, this is the Live Wire. It's a new adventure on Inside UNC Charlotte. We plan to come to you at least once a week with a topic of interest here on the UNC Charlotte campus, and go in depth in an informal way with guests who are part of our university community who happen to be experts on those topics. And our guest today is Jesh Humphrey, who has been the chair of the Campus Safety and Security Committee, and we're talking about campus safety issues. If you have questions there in the audience, please feel free to send them to us by Twitter or by email. We are receiving some questions, and we're going to get to them in just a minute. As I've scanned them quickly, I sense that people have some very definite, specific safety-related technical questions, and I want to lead into that with a brief summary of something that the Safety Committee undertook, which was the campus walk, the Safety and Security Walk. If you could tell us a little bit about what that was and the kinds of issues that walk identified, and what we do now that we raise that kind of awareness of issues on campus.
Okay, well, the Campus Safety Walk has been around. I've been here 8 years, and it existed before me. And it's a student-led initiative. The Student Government Association took it on annually for quite some time. The idea was walking around campus, splitting up into groups, and really looking at what the entirety of campus looks like when it's dark, and making sure that very simple safety issues, lighting concerns, visibility concerns, signage, that sort of stuff was being addressed, because those are some of the things that are very easily foreseeable and addressable. So over the past couple of years, the safety walk kind of fell a little bit by the wayside. The Chancellor asked Connor Dugan, our SGA president, to make that a priority this year, and to SGA's credit, they really came together and put on a tremendous program this year. So we brought administrators, students, faculty, staff from just about every part of the campus. We got together on a fall night and split up into groups, walked around campus, and saw what we could see. I mean, things like crosswalks, signage, making sure that you could see a blue light phone from wherever you are standing on campus, and that those are accessible and usable. Making sure that lighting is appropriate for heavily trafficked areas of campus, or even areas of traffic that might be used by any students coming from a parking deck. So those walks have been tremendously beneficial over the past few years. The Chancellor has spent over $1 million just addressing concerns that have come out of those walks, and it's a really great way, not just to address kind of simple safety things that can protect everybody, but also a great way for the students and our committee to connect on a moving forward basis.
Yeah, but maybe a somewhat skeptical question might be, is that an opportunity to identify repair and maintenance needs versus actual, what you might term more in the category of initiatives?
Sure. Well, I think yes, it is a chance to address repair and maintenance needs, but we have lots of lights on this campus.
Yeah.
We have lots of signs on this campus. And as you said earlier, the campus changes every single year. So what might be a need one year might not be in the next, or there might be growing needs, or the traffic across the campus might change. So, so yes, it does that, but it also addresses things prospectively.
A question has come in on Twitter, and I would remind you, if you're watching us right now, that you can send your questions as well by Twitter or by email. And not only for questions for Jesh immediately today, but send your comments and observations and perhaps suggested topics that you'd like to see us pursue in this format in the weeks to come. And you're watching the live wire on Inside UNC Charlotte. And the first question on Twitter is, why are there no cameras in parking decks? And can't we at least put signs that are there as a deterrent?
Well, that is, those are two very good questions. Putting signage, I'll address the second one first. Putting signage in about having cameras when there are no cameras is generally considered a pretty bad idea.
Is that crying wolf in some way, or what does that mean?
Well, I think it gives people a false sense of security.
So it works both ways. It's
exactly
not just a
right.
deterrent, but it's... Yeah.
But it also leads people to believe that there's evidence available if a crime occurs when there's not.
Or a fender bender, even,
right.
That kind of thing.
And the Chancellor has made video surveillance on campus a priority. We have a subgroup of the Campus Safety and Security Committee that is right now meeting to make recommendations as to the placement and the technology that's going to be used by video cameras across campus.
Between the main campus and Center City, we do have a few cameras.
We do. I think the issue has been that those have been it's been the buildings that have come online recently that have received the most cameras. Parking decks, they feel the scariest. They tend not to be places on campus where crimes actually occur, but they feel scary, and we understand that. So we're looking at placement of cameras in parking decks. The problem is, they only have value for what they can see, and only have value as much as the technology allows you to see what's going on. So we're considering recommending having an advisory group come in and talk about placement of cameras and see whether that makes sense for us. And I think the big thing for us is having some sort of centralized depot where all of that information is feeding to one place.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about an incident that happened in this academic year in Fretwell Hall. And it is a case that is still under investigation. Okay. But the report of an alleged sexual assault in Fretwell in the lower level during daytime hours, 5 o'clock. That in and of itself prompted a good bit of response from the university, and not only in thinking, how could this have happened, but actually in some tactical reinforcement, essentially. So, how is that discussed in the committee, and where are we from a university in our response to that in terms of what have we done?
Right. Well, I'll take the first part first. And the difficult thing in the wake of something like that is that the investigation is closed, that pushing information out, and that's what people want to feel safe, is where is the investigation?
Closed meaning it's not open.
That's correct.
It's not,
right. No, I'm sorry.
But it is still
right.
underway.
The investigation is ongoing, but we're very limited. The police are very limited in terms of what details of the investigation they can share with the public at large. The immediate response, the Chancellor issued a couple of statements, but one of the immediate responses was to dedicate 4 additional foot officers to the main academic quads of campus, which has already occurred. So we have police officers going around the building systematically every day, making sure that they're more visible on campus, riding bikes around on campus as well. Yeah. And I think that visibility makes people feel a lot safer, and in fact, I think it does make people safer. So that's been the primary response. We're also going to be looking at the Safe Ride program and making sure that it's as effective as possible in transporting people at night and at the highest risk times to high volume areas.
In the wake of that reported incident, we had a forum in Fretwell Hall, and I was there. I counted 53 people, which I thought was a pretty good turnout. Sure. And I came away from that with the sense that there's probably more all of us can do, each of us as individuals who are part of this campus community, to raise our own level of awareness of what the university does, but then what are the avenues for us to provide input, suggestions, raise our concerns, and that sort of thing. Sure. But I remember in that forum, there still was this overriding sense of this particular incident and the reported details from it just kind of caused a sense of unease. Absolutely. Among the folks who work in Fretwell Hall.
Well, it was unsettling. I mean, it's a incredibly dramatic and traumatic report, and I think the thing that to come out of that was first we learned that we've got to be very proactive in communicating what our preventative strategies are for things like that. And secondly, I think there's a difference between saying make us feel safe versus what can we do to feel safe on campus.
And going back to one of the first comments you made today, a couple people in that forum just with frustration in their voices said, we don't feel safe on this campus. Right. And that to me just brought home the idea safe is a very individual and relative thing.
That's exactly right.
And whatever your experiences, your expectations, your perceptions are, that does come down to the individual. But it seems like one of those situations where you can never do enough. There's always more you could do.
Right.
But if we could do more, maybe through communication about it, develop more of a sense that we're all in this together. And I was impressed. Chief Baker brought a representative sampling of his team to that forum, and I was personally impressed by not only them as individuals, but the scope that they identified of work that they cover in their daily jobs. I mean, I think on this campus, my own personal observation is they do a pretty good job with a show of force. I see one of their cars every time I'm on campus. But in the wake of this reported incident, we have stepped up our presence with foot patrols on campus.
Absolutely. And I think one of the lessons, and I hope it's a lesson that we never have to apply from that, was, it's a fine line between circling the wagons and trying to say, hey, look, we're doing everything we can, versus educating people as to what's actually being done on campus and informing them of the extent of what we can tell them given the fact that there's an ongoing investigation. But subsequent to that forum, we met with students as a committee. We've had some really positive discussions with some of the same people who were at the forum, and I think we have planned this safety symposium next week. That's in part in response to the forum, to give people the opportunity to ask whatever questions they might still have.
And I want to touch on that symposium in just a minute. But before we do, one other quick reminder that you're watching the live wire on Inside UNC Charlotte, and if you have a question, feel free to send it to us by Twitter or by email at the addresses you will see on your screen. And another question that's come in via Twitter has to do with plainclothes officers on campus. Do we have them on campus? And and going back to the notion of, well, there's a show of force that might be valuable. There's an increased obvious presence of campus police and public safety. Do we have plainclothes officers, and what's the benefit?
Well, we do have plainclothes officers in the sense of people in police and public safety coming into work and not wearing their uniform.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a lot of undercover officers or any undercover officers.
And that might have been me extrapolating on this question, and maybe I
Sure.
shouldn't have done that. But that's what popped into my mind. Is there a sense that there's somebody who you wouldn't identify as an officer, but they might be watching you with a careful eye?
Well, and the answer is no, that we don't have those, at least to my knowledge. But it gets to kind of a larger question, which is, and gets back to the video camera question that was asked earlier. It's a fine line between, creating a campus that's safe and creating a campus that's Orwellian in some sense.
Yeah.
So, our chancellor has always been a big advocate of an open campus, of the free expression of ideas, of not having, a big brother type, mentality. At the same time, we need to figure out how we can avoid all of that, but still be employing best practices as far as surveillance and police tactics.
And hopefully in this particular format, we're going to have many other opportunities to talk about what's in the short and long range future of the university. But one of the things that's kind of in the mid range future now is light rail, and the fact that the line is going to be coming to our campus
Sure.
with that more direct connection to uptown. And I assume that that's already a topic of discussion among the members of the Campus Safety and Security Committee. But what right now are some general areas of concern that might be floating around in terms of what safety issues that might create for the campus when we are connected to the light rail system?
Well, I think it's two things. I think first, and this is something that relates to football generally. The influx of folks on campus is going to be, and particularly people who aren't related to the campus community except through football or through, the fact that this is the last stop on the light rail, is going to be much greater. Now, we've had several committees that are not campus safety and security committees looking at making sure that football is planned for and making sure that the light rail is planned for. We'll have, dedicated patrol for the light rail station. We'll have, a lot of patrol and security on game day. So that's been in the works through police and public safety for some time. So that's one concern. The other concern is, frankly, just the fact that there's a huge machine moving through a college campus, and there's a lot of folks that are might be inebriated or might be curious to see what it looks like up close or whatever. Yeah. So that's something that we've been very cognizant of in the development of the plans with CATS, is just making sure that the appropriate barriers are set up and the appropriate surveillance is set up and all of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move to the topic of the upcoming legal symposium. What is it? What's the range of content? And also, let's make a note that safety and security is a key part of the lineup. And tell us a little bit about what's coming up.
Well, some months ago, our General Counsel, David Broom, had the idea of an annual legal symposium. This will be the inaugural legal symposium. We decided to focus on safety issues in the wake of the Fretwell incident, and hearing the voice of GPSG and SGA in the wake of that incident, and kind of all the questions that surrounded safety on campus. First, it was, I wouldn't say it's concerning, but we learned there's not a lot of awareness out there about what safety initiatives there are on campus despite our best efforts. So this is a way to give people a chance to peek behind the curtain a little bit, but also to let them know what safety policies are out there, what they can be doing to protect themselves, and what they can do in terms of reporting concerning students or concerning employees, just having all of that in kind of one place for one day seemed like a really good idea. So that's going to be the focus. We're going to be videotaping it. If you can't be there, it's on the 13th in the SAC salons. If you can't be there, you can watch it following via videotape. So that'll be available to people too.
So that sounds like a really good opportunity for particularly members of the faculty and staff who want to be more engaged in the process of safety and security to come and learn about some good opportunities to do just that. So, well, I think we've covered a good range of topics today. So I want to thank you for joining us, and I want to thank all of you who've put us on your screens today. And I want you to please continue to offer your suggestions. You can use the email or the Twitter account that you've seen on your screen today. And I may get in trouble for suggesting this, but if you have specific questions for Jesh Humphrey, just send him an email.
Sure, shoot me an email. And I want to direct everybody also to our Campus Safety and Security website at campussafety.uncc.edu.
One word, campus safety.
campussafety.uncc.edu. It gives you an idea of the composition of the committee. It tells you about our latest safety plan, which we'll have a new one in the spring. It's got some great emergency contact information and information on how to report security incidents or just situations of concern that you might confront.
All right. Next week, Thursday at noon, our intent is to do another edition of the Live Wire, and our guest is Michael Cato, and he is the Interim Vice Chancellor for IT Services. And among the topics we're going to be discussing with Michael are the expansion of the campus wireless network and most likely a whole host of other issues related to IT on campus. And one final plug for the idea that if you, as our audience, have suggestions for what we ought to talk about in this format or how we might do it differently, please do so. Think of this as your opportunity to, one more opportunity to cut through the communication clutter on campus. I know we're all inundated, and we want to give this a try and see if we can develop a following as a way of breaking through mass emails and other ways that we feel like we're bombarded with communication, but maybe this will cut through for a few of you, and hopefully you'll find it useful. So let us know what you think, and we're open to suggestions. And for now, thank you for joining us on this inaugural edition of the Live Wire on Inside UNC Charlotte, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week right here. Thank you.